Today, we're delighted to be joined by Lyn Rees, the Chief Executive Officer of Yourgene Health plc, a leading molecular diagnostics group. Lyn, thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you. No problem. Great to be speaking again.
Lyn, it's clearly been a very busy time operationally for the company, having looked at announcements over the last couple of months. But I'd like to start with the trading, and you specifically, the top line seems to be going very well in the recent update with revenues up 86%. Can you talk us through the makeup of that and some of the highlights?
Yeah, delighted to. I mean, we were so pleased to be delivering a revenue CAGR of 86%. It could have been a little bit higher as well. As I said in my press release, we had 400,000 pounds which of orders which we weren't able to ship in March because of the COVID situation. So we had an order book in excess of 17 million pounds. The revenue is broken down pretty straightforward. We had 36% organic growth, which is another fantastic year of the core business just continuing to grow at significant double-digit growth. We had 11 months of the Yourgene acquisition to integrate into the business, and we can see the impact of that reproductive range of products in our new service offering. And we had 1 month of our new business that we recently acquired in France as well. So when you add all of those up together, it delivered a blended rate of 86%, which I just think is a really strong performance. Shows the strength of our geographic expansion strategy. You know, all of our core regions grew significantly. Even the UK and EU, we're waiting for European rollout of our Illumina product platform. They grew really, really strongly. Southeast Asia seems to be not impacted too badly by this COVID. So again, great growth there. And when you look at our core NIPT numbers, NIPT was up 29% on a year-by-year basis. So again, it just shows the fundamental strategy of building off the foundation of the NIPT product range, putting additional products and services around them, and taking that extended product range into wider geographical territories is working based on the numbers that I was delighted to report this week.
Very good. You talk about the couple of weeks, I guess, we've seen from the contribution of the French NIPT distribution business. Obviously, going forwards, we'll see a greater impact of that in the results to come. But could you talk us through the rationale for that acquisition?
Yeah, I mean, the timing was amazing. The French government had given reimbursement for NIPT testing in early 2019. So we were starting to see the growth and the ramp up of that market. And we wanted to get in there early. We obviously were aware that we had a transition project to take advantage of, taking the Illumina product, moving that into the French market would be easier if you had direct relationship with your customers as opposed to relying on a distributor communication network. The deal was immediately accretive, from a margin perspective. It's a minimum of £500,000 distributor margin that will now fall into Yourgene's margin on an annualized basis. We paid 2 million upfront for the business with an earnout of 1.4, but those earnouts are self-funded, so they come on accelerated growth. So I thought the valuation we paid for the business was in line with our previous acquisitions, and again, puts a strong message to the market that we can bring in organizations, acquire them, and integrate them successfully within the Yourgene set of companies. Obviously, we, having direct access to those customers in France isn't just about selling them the existing product range, but it's a range sell. So we have got a wider range of reproductive healthcare on oncology products that we can now drive into that marketplace. In addition, it was access to large French-speaking countries. We can access Morocco, for example, as part of this deal. And Morocco, albeit smaller in terms of number of people than France, they have the same number of pregnancies each year. So again, a core market that we hadn't been into before that gets accelerated as a result of this acquisition, for which we raised £2.5 million through an equity raise, which obviously took care of the initial cash consideration and provided us with some working capital to support our new approach and our new commercial approach in this very exciting market.
So turning then to COVID-19, which has significantly impacted the ways that companies have to operate in this environment, it's also thrown up some opportunities as well for some companies. Can we first of all touch on how it's impacted Yourgene and how you've had to adapt to operate in this current environment?
Yeah, of course. And as you say, every company is going through this at the moment. I think in Yourgene, we were somewhat fortuitous in that we have a Southeast Asian business, and we almost saw in advance what was happening in those territories. So we had a bit of a heads up. So as an organization, we sent home 70% of the staff that were non-essential workers to work remotely. We armed them up with laptops from day one, and we were probably about 10 days ahead of the government advice at that point. The reason we did that was to protect the core workers in the business. And having done an early risk assessment and some fire drills to make sure that we could actually cope with working from home, making sure the comms worked, etc. It allowed us to be very robust from early on. So we've been manufacturing throughout this period and supporting our customers. And as I said, I think having that forward view on what was happening in Southeast Asia from our Taipei facility certainly was a beneficial factor in that for us. I mentioned earlier about the reduction in the March number. There was a slight softening of 400k, but these are orders that were just shipped now in April. So we haven't lost any business. We were just delayed a certain geographical borders shut down. But in terms of where we sit now, we have a set of people that are core in the office. We have cross-trained a team of technical people around that, because obviously, with the current advice, if you get any coughs or colds, you're off work for a couple of weeks. So as that happens, we can backfill those roles with trained, talented people to make sure that we've got continuity of supply for all of our existing customers and the new customers that we'd started working with. Alongside that as well, we have our own labs in Southeast Asia and in Manchester. So if any reason, if customers just can't process the number of samples they were used to doing, because they're now processing a lot of COVID samples as opposed to reproductive health core or NIPT samples, then our labs can accept those samples and still provide continuity for our customers. So I think as an organization, we've been kind of ahead of the step a little bit with COVID. We've reacted really well to it, and we haven't really seen any impact to the business in terms of our ability to keep supporting customers and keeping all our staff safe, which is obviously our number one priority.
And just picking up on some of the recent news flow, you're using your manufacturing skills and I guess state-of-the-art facilities to help in the production of some of the diagnostic tests with Novacyt. Could you talk us through that opportunity and how that's playing out?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, as part of the Yourgene acquisition, we significantly upgraded our facilities, both in terms of capacity and the regulatory environment with which we're in. As soon as the COVID situation started happening, obviously, we spoke to Novacyt and we entered into agreement with them. We have provided the first batches of that product, and we continue to provide that product as we go through the next couple of months of COVID. It hasn't affected our existing business because we had good stocks of current products. So we're taking, some capacity out of our organization to support, the Novacyt situation, and we are building these key components for them. There is a wider conversation about potentially providing additional kits for them, but there are also multiple opportunities in the global marketplace for organizations such as ours with capability to manufacture components and kits. And the platforms that are being used to test COVID are fundamentally the platforms that we use at Yourgene. So it's quite easy to switch manufacture from reproductive healthcare reagents to COVID reagents. In addition to that work that we're doing, we are also making our UK-based labs available for COVID testing. We have told the NHS and PHE what our capability is, and we're ready to go from now. So we await further instruction to see how things develop. So really, really happy with that situation.
So taking a step back then, Lyn, obviously a very strong trading update has just come out, results to come, but otherwise, what should investors be keeping an eye out, looking out for from Yourgene over the next few months?
I think for me, investors should be confident that we're delivering the plan. I know we just spoke about COVID, but to me, this is about a business plan that we launched to the market 18 months ago. And we have, this is another step forward in the continuation of that, another set of figures hit, another set of geographical territories expanded, another set of products launched into the marketplace. So to me, it's the continuation of that strategy. And when I spoke last to my shareholders, I was very excited in the first quarter of this year to launch the new Illumina NIPT platform. We continue to do that. We hope to have regulatory approval this quarter. And we're super excited about, updating our shareholders once we receive recommendation for approval for that new product range. Despite the travel restrictions out there, we continue to want to build our sales into the US. It's been somewhat, put on hold temporarily as the US goes through, this very significant COVID challenge. But the progress we made last year and the foundation that we made last year is absolutely there and is ready to be jumped from as soon as these restrictions are over, so that we can start, making real inroads into the US market, which is a big opportunity for us, given the size, and it's still the largest global healthcare market in the world. And then finally, our core focus will remain on continuing to hit the numbers. We've just delivered some exceptional growth, which comes off the back of a period of exceptional growth 6 months before that. We've kind of set the bar now a little bit in terms of the expectations in the market. I look forward to delivering and continuing to delivering against those expectations, because we've got lots of opportunity for our fantastic products. We've got a lot of new product opportunity becoming now, because we finished the development of the Illumina and the Illumina NIPT platform. We can now switch that resource onto new products, in reproductive healthcare within NIPT, but also to support, the COVID efforts. So really exciting about what the R&D team can create over the next 12 months as we look to further support our product range and further support our commercial people in the market by arming them with a tool of excellent products and services, to make it easier to range sell into those customers that they've spent so long looking after and developing strong relationships with.
Very good. Well, it sounds like there's a lot of work going on across a lot of different fronts there, but very productively. No, it's a very busy time for you, Lyn. So thank you very much for joining us today.
Pleasure. Thank you.